Shamir, Heterosexuality, album review, let's chat about it. Hey guys, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning here tonight to chat about this latest from Shamir Bailey, who, in the early days of recording music, got me up out of my seat onto the dance floor with some really classy, groovy, and just incredibly likable dance pop and electro pop. I mean, if you already haven't listened to the Northtown EP or Ratchet, I mean, this is a fantastic material here. I mean, I saw Shamir go on as one of the last acts at the Pitchfork Music Festival back in the day, and it turned into an all-night party very quickly for a reason. I mean, some of the singles around this time, like On the Regular and my personal favorite, Call It Off, are ridiculous. And I kind of thought this was going to be the Shamir sound. But clearly I've been proven wrong many times, because Shamir, since Ratchet, has put out a slew of albums, a long list of albums with no serious correlation between one from another. Shamir's follow-up, Hope, was this weird sort of lo-fi chamber pop album that honestly was kind of sloppy at times, and I wasn't into it. Shamir's follow-ups, Revelations and Resolutions, were certainly better, but still not exactly my cup of tea in the Shamir catalog, but certainly better. As a matter of fact, I think he's improved a little bit more than that ever since, take for example, Be the Ye, Here Comes the Haw. Shamir on this album seemed a lot more comfortable in putting out some art rock, but like, Shamir's discography is weird. My main issue with it is consistency. It's not like he's put out zero bad recordings since Ratchet. There's been some great ideas, some passionate performances all over these albums. But a lot of these albums are also super lo-fi, super spur of the moment. They seem to be very heartfelt and mean a lot to Shamir and his identity, which is great, but it also sounds like the cutting room floor most of the time. Same goes for Cataclysm. Now, I will say this. The last time we heard from Shamir in the studio with his self-titled album, I was actually really impressed with what I was hearing. This is the best Shamir work since Ratchet. Shamir on this album just seems so comfortable, so out of the shell, just like so, writing some of the catchiest material they put out in maybe 10 years. And these new singles, yeah, they're okay. I enjoyed them leading up to this album, but you know what? I am a little bit late to this album. I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off these days, but I wanted to chat about it still. But silly me. Let me just start off by saying this. If I thought that Shamir was going to transfer over the sound that we heard on Shamir's self-titled project, come on. What are you kidding me? That doesn't seem to be the case on this album at all. Take, for example, Cisgender. This sound is pretty wild right from the start. It's very noisy. It deals with some industrialized synths. It is slow, prodding, intense art pop, and it's really emotional too. I love how emotionally intense and how much this track packs a wallop. It's just so freaking raw. And it's a great statement from Shamir as well. I love a lot of the themes of, getting rid of labels across this entire album. You could tell once again that this is an album for Shamir, and I respect that. I mean, this is an excellent track. I don't even mind that it's plus 5 minutes. Also, Shamir's vocals on this track are ridiculous. Stability is an absolutely glorious track. I love the big 80s synths that we get here. Shamir's vocals also seem to be right at home. I'm loving this. It's also done really passionately, and not only that, but this sounds right. This sounds like it belongs on a Shamir album. It's totally left field and not what I expected to hear on this album, but it sounds right. It sounds like the next logical step. It doesn't sound like a big leap, and I honestly wish we heard some more of this. We also get Caught Up, which is one of the most instantaneous and catchy tracks here. It is refreshingly upbeat and groovy, especially with how noisy some of the other tracks on this album get. It's a weird one. But this track practically has some new wave flavor to it, and I don't think that's bad at all. I also love how flashy and glitzy the production is here. This to me seems like the winning formula. But I don't know, I kind of thought that Shamir was going to be a little bit more consistent this time around. This album starts off with Gay Agenda, and honestly, it's a little sloppy. I mean, look, there's a lot of great elements in this track. I love the pacing here. slow, plodding, industrial bits as well. And Shamir's vocals, once again, are fantastic. But for every element of this track that is really sharp, really powerful, really raw, that is certainly the word that I would use, there is an element that just comes off amateurish. We're right back to this mode where I can't really tell if Shamir is, comfortable in this sound. Abomination is just that. It is the worst track here. Listen, I am all for Shamir branching out, trying new things, especially in these sort of art pop genres that Shamir usually finds himself in, but just like, come on. Now, I'm all for someone, taking some risks, making some big leaps, especially in the art pop genres that Shamir, kind of holds up in. Hell, Shamir has done nothing but branch out since Ratchet. That's nothing new, but this just doesn't sound good. Shamir on this track is trying way too hard to be edgy, and it just comes off like Shamir's trying too hard. It falls flat, and it's a shame because this track packs a mighty political punch, and it's something that needs to be heard still. I don't know, I just wish it didn't sound like complete garbage. Father isn't that much better. This is the lightest track that we get here. I don't know, it's just so freaking boring. Like, this is my nightmares come true from all those bland, really kind of clueless years of Shamir's discography. This sounds like Shamir going for a folk sound, which I don't think is a bad idea, but like just scratching the surface so softly. I don't actually mind the synth elements to it. I actually think that's some of the best material on this track, but I don't know, this is just so entry level. And tracks like Marriage, I swear, are just put here just to aggravate me. This instrumental is so fresh, so funky, so sleek. It almost comes off like, I don't know, like an old school video game soundtrack that I would have grown up with. But it's Shamir here that just doesn't rub me the right way. I think Shamir's performance just does not hit me. It's, I don't know, one of the weaker vocal performances on this album. But Shamir does bring a couple last-minute tricks to the table. I think Cold Brew is really good. This is one of the genuinely more experimental and left-field tracks on this album. I wish we got more experiments like this. I mean, the production on this track is genuinely out there. Some of the airy synths are really nice, too. And you know what? This goes without saying. It's still very personal. It's very, raw as far as Shamir's lyrics go. But it's just as personal and commendable as ever. In a weird way, it almost comes off like a really, really, really good cover. And Reproductive has a ton going for it. I love the sort of steamy, just sexy enough verses that we get here, but also just how glamorous and larger than life and swagger filled this chorus is. This just seems like a really great medium for Shamir, and I couldn't recommend this track enough. Oh, and then we get Nuclear as a finale, and oh man, it's rough. Shamir has done nothing since Ratchet than just constantly shift sounds, constantly try something different, and then we get tracks like this where it just comes off as like a big mush. This is a sort of lounge-inspired jazzy tune, which has a lot of really great elements to it. There's a lot of this track that, gives me the big thumbs up. But I don't know. This also sounds like Shamir winding up, throwing everything that they possibly can at a wall and seeing what sticks, and the result is kind of mushy. The result is just a track that has a lot of good elements, but nothing really standing out, and just not really that good of a tune at the end of the day. This is a tough album. Shamir, since Ratchet, has been tough to really grasp for me. I mean, Shamir's constantly trying something different, and it's almost always super emotional and raw and personal, and I couldn't commend that enough. But instrumentally, we're right back to where we were a couple of years ago, with me scratching my head when it comes to Shamir. Keeps trying to really stay ahead of the game and try something new, but without really perfecting any of it. A lot of it just sounds amateurish more often than not. I mean, yeah, there's still a ton to like here, but I don't know. I kind of wish where we were when Ratchet would come back, and I don't know, Shamir would just get consistent again, because it's tough right now. Feeling a decent 6 on this album, but let me know what you guys think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, guys.